Oh, we have to go.
Oh.
Oh,
What number podcast is this?
16?
16.
Is it 16?
Welcome to the 16th one.
Okay, and didn't. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 16 of Between Two Couches. I'm joined with Sam, and today we're just going to have a little back and forth about injuries, how to recognize what's an injury, what to do, how to train through it, what you just stop and rest. So, Sam, I suppose if you're a beginner starting off, what's sort of the warning signs that you need to tell your coach that something's not right?
So if we say to do a movement and you go to do it and it's all looking good but it's sore, that's a big sign. I hope, like most people think, oh, maybe if you're new you probably think, oh, maybe it's meant to be sore, but there's kind of sore as in your muscles are sore from maybe training, but then there's also sore as in, oh, that's not meant to go that way, sore. So you kind of have to identify early on, or it takes maybe a bit of time to know the difference between some of the kind of feelings or stuff you'll feel.
Yeah.
You know?
So I mean, obviously it's best if you're just constantly telling your coach how something feels, because we can tell you whether it's normal or not.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and when you're in your on-ramps, you can say, oh, this feels tough. And I mean, if it squats and your legs are burning, that's sort of tough territory.
Yeah.
If it squats and your hip is feeling kind of funky, or your knee is making noise.
If it feels like it's a bone, it's not your muscle.
Okay.
And if your muscles are usually fine, they might be sore from like previous workouts, but sometimes you kind of tell, like if it kind of persists longer than it probably should have, then you might need to reconsider. Definitely let the coach know. Coach could then say, well, maybe it's from this, or recommend you do a physio, or do some stretches with it.
Yeah. So you said last longer than you should have. So what sort of guideline would you tell someone? Is that?
Say you did a tough workout, and it was kind of muscular heavy. That's not a word, but we'll go with it.
Muscly wise.
Muscly wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Throw back to an earlier episode.
Yeah, for the OGs. If it persists longer than about 3 or 4 days, and it's kind of keeps annoying you, then it's probably not from the workout. It's probably you've done something.
Yeah. Okay. So there's we got two things straight off the bat. One, if it's in the joint itself,
Yeah.
it's an issue. Two, if it persists for any length of time.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think when you're starting off, you always want to err on the side of caution, and that's why we'll pick the loads for you, pick the reps, pick everything for you starting off, and really guide you through that process. But it's not an exact science, and sometimes you feel you can push more, and that's why it's important to build yourself up, because your joints just take longer to adapt to exercise. So again, muscly wise, you should be well able to lift something, but your joint just isn't strong enough, and because your joint just doesn't get the same blood flow as your muscles, it takes longer to build up. That's why we do the weighted stretches and the animal crawls and the twists. That's to help safeguard your joint and give you that cushion against injury. So, what's your advice if someone comes to you with an injury, Sam? What's the first thing?
Well, obviously you have to identify where it is. If it's really sore, then I'd go try and see someone right away, like a physio. If it's really bad, maybe the doctor or something, to go to the VHI. If it's like snapped, you know, if your ACL is hanging out the back of your leg, or something's the wrong way,
Right.
you know, your elbow's only meant to go to here.
Luckily, no ACLs have been torn here, so we're good in that respect.
If it's kind of a bit sore, then it could be down to maybe a lack of mobility, trying to do something that you're not flexible enough for. So then you can kind of work on your flexibility, kind of ease back in the class for a while, maybe sit out, maybe you'd have to do kind of a changed stuff to the workout. You have to kind of adapt it a bit to work around what's sore. If it's, well, that's probably the two options, if it's really sore and if it's only mildly sore.
Yeah. So I mean, most of the time, we can modify something.
Yeah.
So when you say sit out, you mean sit out the movement itself, not
just sit out completely.
Yeah.
Sit out of, like, say your knee is sore, can't do some squat movements, you can probably do something else.
Yeah. because we've both had injuries and we know what it's like feeling when you can't do everything. The first feeling is, well, I don't want to train anymore because I can't do anything. And I'll be like this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Hand me the Doritos.
That's the wrong way to think. The other thing is like it's only like you gotta look at the long-term picture. You'll probably be grand in a month.
Yeah.
Depending on what it is. So the next 3 days of your training, you might just have to reduce it back a bit to be fine in a month. But if you kind of went hard and worsened what's going on, worsened's a word now, in a month's time, you might look back and go, oh, why didn't I rest then? So you kind of gotta look at the long-term kind of scheme of things as well. You will be fine a bit.
Yeah, long-term thinking is pretty important. And you mentioned physio there, and there's sort of the common perception as well. You only need regular physio if you're a high-level athlete and you're training all the time. But I sort of disagree. I don't know what your thoughts on it, because if you're spending most of your day sitting at a desk, driving, you know, you're in tight, poor postures anyway. And if you spend 20 years getting to there before you start an athletic endeavour like CrossFit or anything, you've probably built up some movement patterns that are less optimal for you. And, you know, having someone work on you is the same as having a mechanic, you know, service your car and make it run a bit smoother.
Sitting down for 20 years is an injury, I would say. It's traumatic to the body, like in a huge amount. You know, it's the same as doing, I don't know, I was about to say concussed, but it's probably not the same as that. But it's the same as like, you know, your hips are all out of whack. You could easily then, you're more likely to get injured on top because you've been sitting or you are in a compromised position for a long period of time, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why like physio is pretty important for people as well. Yeah. So I'm injured, I'm fed up, I'm frustrated. What's like the worst thing I can do if I'm injured?
Keep going. Keep training on what's sore. Oh, it hurts to squat. Better squat it off.
Okay.
You know, that's the worst
that
thing.
That doesn't
you
work.
Better jog it off.
Yeah.
Bad idea.
Yeah.
It'll only add to the time you're out.
And then I'd say the second worst thing is to stop entirely.
Yeah.
Because then your
manifest.
Movement's good for the body. You might be able to lunge, you might be able to row, bike. You might have to squat to build back that up or build up single leg strength. If it's an injury you got from maybe going a bit too heavy on your back squat, or sitting down for too long, driving for 2 hours and hopping straight into a class without a warm up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the warm up is kind of the most important part of the class, because that's what guarantees your health, and you can build your fitness on a foundation of health, but you can't build fitness on any sort of dysfunction or movement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So anything we missed out?
Just keep mobile. You know, you can prevent a lot of things with good movement quality. You know, if you're loading your body up and your feet are parallel this way, you know, not this way. You're going on the same line.
Okay.
That's pretty bad. And then you're putting load on it. It's going to only add to the problem. So keep mobile, and then always think about, am I moving the correct way? Just be conscious of your movement patterns. Like a nice squat, good pressing, that sort of thing.
So focus on moving well. Moving well will guarantee a lot of injuries. Yeah. And then in terms of mobility, I've done my class, I've done my 60 minutes. You know, should I spend 5 minutes on mobility, 10 minutes on mobility? What do you think is a good general guideline?
10 minutes would be good. If you do 10 minutes every day, that's over an hour in a week. So that's a lot. That's enough. If you're training even more and you're extra sore, then you can always do more. You feel good one day, and you rush for time. Don't sweat it. You know, just there'll be more time tomorrow. You know?
Okay. So mobility a day keeps the injuries away.
Ah, very good.
All right. I think that's it from episode 16 of Between Two Couches. Any questions or comments, pop them below. Thanks, team.